abandon to flee. I'm taking advantage when others can't manage. I guess it's the lion in me. I gotta eat beef. It ain't made for sheep. It ain't what you think. It ain't sweet. It ain't came to be. Through chilling and gain and sleep. Think you deep? We gon' blaze these streets. Multiple days of the week. We ain't weak. We don't take defeats. We killing the villain of the beast. Out here flipping through pages. Found out he blacker than me. Threw away the new King James and the NIV. Stop it if you in your feelings. Man, you better face the east. Boy, my name been changed. Gonna try me. Check my ID.
Everything I'm rapping is real, ain't no imagination. Yeah, how will put me on this mission, so I'm obligated to strangle every doctrine as a prophet. I'm too dominating. Pastors in the church getting rich off of their congregation. I'm here to put a stop to that let's call it constipation. Damn, I kept it real when everyone was bogus. I keep it flowing, every ball, water like the ocean. My spirit quick to follow every word the Bible quoted. My faith led the way, I could do this here blindfolded. Let's take back what they have stolen. Our land and identity was stolen by some roaches. Repent or die is the slogan. Only few could be chosen. Me and Satan had a fight. Only one of us left swollen. My rib love me for my chocolate skin. No kind of whitewashing could make me hate the flesh I'm in. I keep the scriptures like it's part of my religion. So I stay ready when Satan come up here tripping in. Too authentic to follow behind the latest trends. Cause the Johnsons and Joneses could make you overspin. My vision vivid, the wicked could never comprehend. I kick a demon in his head like I'm Donnie Yen. Yeah, that's an Ip Man bar. As a rapper, I ain't really trying to get that far. Cause a lot of these rappers gay and I ain't with that, boy. So think twice before you try me, better sit back, boy. Hey, cause I don't play unless it's sword play. Keep your spirit right with God, any day could be your day. When you come to serve the Lord, be ready for more hate. I spread the gospel, you spread gossip, we don't correlate.
Turn that bass up, Ace.
Yeah, my light, big bright. They don't like me, but it's alright. Won't say it to my face, they'll backbite. Hell, they even did it to the Lord Christ. So I'ma take it on the chin like a fist fight. They don't wanna follow God, they won't get right. You gon' get yours soon, just sit tight. And you ain't getting no help like a hitchhike. I'm waiting on the fire, let it ignite. It's about to get ugly like a Hittite. Spurred off on the devil with a swift right. Yeah, he was lights out like midnight. When I'm holding on the Bible, got it grip tight. Fridge is hanging off the garment, fit just right. Pull up to your church, I just might. And everybody in the church get cut right. Cause they don't know nothing about the gospel. Your pastor been telling them lies. He taking your money, his sermon is awful. We been sent forth like apostles. We bringing the peace when it's hostile. We prophesying to them dry bones, breathing life into the fossils. Switch it up. I call my brothers on the phone, but we don't speak enough. I'm living by the word of God, I gotta eat it up. I put the scriptures aside, so we cut your preacher up. They see the problem with Sodom, but they ain't speaking up. The water rising, that's wisdom, but they ain't keeping up. I'm in the streets with the killers trying to clean them up. They've been enslaved by the devil, I'm trying to free them up. Yeah, hold up. Damn, cause I got a problem with Sodom. I know that the devil, he coming to get you. So soon as I spot him, I got him. Bah! They thinking they something when they ain't nothing. We know that they going to the bottom. The nerve of these heathen, they conjure up evil. We know that the Lord is gonna stop them. Damn. A lot of these haters is big man. A lot of these haters is big man. Yeah. Big man. Yeah. My light, big bright. They don't like me, but it's alright. Won't say it to my face, they'll backbite. Hell, they even did it to the Lord Christ. So I'ma take it on the chin like a fist fight. They don't wanna follow God, they won't get right. You gon' get yours soon, just sit tight. And you ain't getting no help like a hitchhike. Book bag, know I keep a good Bible in my book bag. Going down to the foot, that's good swag. All these haters trying hard to make us look bad, but they ain't doing nothing.
We're running their mouth like piranhas. We chopping it down like E Honda. We all in the court like a Honda. They live in their lungs like a llama. Get rid of the snakes and the cunning. We don't give a damn. It's Hakuna Matata. More strife than the umpire. We are the diamonds. You ran into giants and you gonna die. So about to go in. I don't need no damn comma. More ball than a hockey mask. I am not knowing. My brother is Christ and he changes his stature. The form of contraction I am to a mortal. You cannot stop if you try to stop it. Just hard in your heart. Let us take off like rockets. The guys in the building so everyone silence. No dragonfly on the drop bones. You out. Most High gonna show you what chess is about. Now he took the apple and moved it on purple rain in the club.
Check. Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High, Christ bless. Welcome to another edition of History in the AM. Today you got Captain Emmanuel of IUIC Arkansas holding it down, continuing the Kings of Israel series. All right, it's been a minute. It's been a good little minute. We left off with Athaliah, Feminism Undesired. All right. If you didn't get to catch that class, that's a class that you definitely, out of the series, you can't miss that one. All right. So if you ain't caught it, make sure you go back and watch it after this one. Really, you might need to come back to this one later and go on and go catch that one before you watch this one. Now, I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to touch on it a little bit, but it's a lot in terms of that was a very turbulent time in the Kings of Israel series, because that's when the kingdoms kind of intercrossed. And like I said, I'm going to touch on it a little bit in this class. I'm telling you, it was hard for a lot of people to really grasp and understand. All right? But it is what it is. So today we're going to cover it. Say Joash and Jehoaz, but as I went and looked at my notes, in the last class, we never got to I was supposed to cover the end of Jehu reign, but we never got to it. So we not going to make it to Jehoash, the son of Jehu. We going to conclude Jehu reign and cover Joash. Jehoash and Joash is the same person. The difference is, I think, Kings or Chronicles, one of them say Jehoash, one of them say Joash, but that's the same person. All right? So we're going to deal with him today, and we're going to finish the reign of Jehu. So let's open up with Romans chapter 15 and verse 4.
This is the book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
All right, so that's why we cover this series. That's why we cover the history, because when you read the history, it's a lot to learn from, to glean from, that you can apply to yourself today. When you examine the congregation, the people, the leaders, yourself as a leader, you can utilize these scriptures to understand things, put things into perspective. Even though it happened thousands of years ago, it's nothing new under the sun. That which have been is that which shall be. Just like during the times of the kings, you saw a lot of betrayal, a lot of conspiracy, a lot of uprisings, seditions, things of that nature. You're going to see the same thing today. All right, even though we're not wearing crowns on our heads and got thrones set up in these congregations, you're going to see the same type of things happen amongst the congregations. All right, it is what it is. So the things written aforetime was written for our learning. We can examine the kings and be able to utilize the experience given in the scriptures to help us out today. I remember when I was on the quest, a brother asked, do the history, because I said I like to study the history more than anything. And a brother asked, does that help with basically judging matters and stuff like that? And I said, yeah, it helped. Right? Get that real quick in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 8. It helps, but experience is the best teacher. All right? And for young men coming up in this truth, no matter how many scriptures you know, the scriptures tell you and instruct you to counsel with the elder men, regardless. All right, so it's not to say that you can read these scriptures and get all the experience, and you don't have to get any experience or counsel with men of experience. That's not what the scriptures is saying. However,
when you study, you're not studying for applause. You're not studying to be able to parakeet stuff and just memorize precepts. You are studying to glean from your forefathers to help you and assist you in the moves that you make and how you deal with the people. And it is able to give you a level of experience in terms of your forefathers went through this, so watch out for this. They went through that, so you ain't got to go through that. David, he encountered a Bathsheba, so you know how to look out for the Bathshebas in the congregation. You ain't got to fall. You ain't got to do the same fall. You understand? So, Lord's willing, y'all understand. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 1. Read that.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8 and verse 1.
Come on.
Wisdom reaches from one end to another mightily, and sweetly does she order all things.
Read verse 8.
Verse 8. If a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old.
Right. So if you desire much experience, wisdom knows things of old. The things written aforetime was written for our learning. So if you desire much experience, you can go to this Bible, which is the fountain of wisdom, and she can show you things of old. You can glean from your forefathers' experience. Go ahead.
And conjectureth aright what is to come.
Right. So you can read the scriptures and be able to predict the future. All right? That's what the Bible is telling you. So you can drop that. Like I said, today we're going to cover Joash, a.k.a. Jehoash, and the end of the reign of Jehu. All right? Joash reign over the southern kingdom was approximately from 835 BC to 796 BC. And Jehu's reign over the northern kingdom began in 841 BC and ended approximately in 814 BC. All right? Put up that chart real quick. So like I said, the last class I covered a very complicated time in Israel. All right? And I'm going to lightweight explain it again real quick. All right? Put that on the screen for us, that chart. All right. So when you get to Omri, the confusion, I'm going to show y'all where the confusion come in at. Go to 2 Chronicles real quick. 2 Chronicles chapter 22 and verse 2. This is where the confusion come in at. Some people, they just can't get past this hump. All right, read that real quick.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 2 and verse 2.
Come on.
42 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri.
All right, so notice it says Athaliah, the daughter of Omri. All right? So when you read the Bible, sometimes when it says son, sometimes when it says daughter, it means granddaughter or grandson. Sometimes it refers to grandparents as the parent. All right, it's other examples in the scriptures of this. All right, and this is one of those examples. Athaliah was the granddaughter of Omri. All right, put that on the screen. Put the chart on the screen. All right, and I ain't bring my who's who in the Bible, but that's one of the sources that helps to clear up the confusion. So in the red, you got the northern kingdom. All right. Now where you see Omri. Omri was the king that came along and established Samaria as the capital of the northern kingdom. All right. He is not talked about in the Bible very much at all, but he's actually very, very regarded in history outside of the Bible by other nations. Other nations highly regard Omri as a mighty king, right? Because he was able to establish Samaria basically like a northern Jerusalem. All right. He accumulated a lot of wealth. He established that city as a great city, but he was wicked. He was wicked as hell. All right. So Omri had Ahab. Now Omri made league with Tyre and Zidon, or the Zidonians. All right. So that's why the Bible don't really give him no type of light or shine. He was wicked. All right. He made covenant with the Sidonians and their gods. His son was Ahab. In Omri making covenant or league with the Zidonians, just like when you watch different shows or movies concerning kingdoms and empires and things like that. And there's other examples in the Bible. Matter of fact, we gonna cover it in a second. Kingdoms, whenever they would make affinity with each other, they would marry their children to one another. So Omri married his son Ahab to the Zidonian king's daughter, which was Jezebel. She was a heathen. That was a part of the alliance that was made between Omri and the king of Zidon. He married Ahab to the Zidonian king's daughter. So Ahab married Jezebel. All right. Now, as you can see, now that's the red is the northern kingdom. So under the Ahab and Jezebel branch, when you go down the T and you look over to the right, you have Athaliah or Athaliah in the green, which is the southern kingdom side. So how did Ahab and Jezebel have a line that crosses over to the southern kingdom? Because their daughter is Athaliah. What had happened was, as you can see in the green, you have Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat had a son named Jehoram. Ahab had a son named Jehoram as well. They was ruling at the same time. Before they was ruling, while Ahab and Jehoshaphat was ruling, you read about them having affinity with one another. Get that real quick in 2 Chronicles 18 and verse 1. Read that real quick.
The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 18 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
Now Jehoshaphat had riches and honor and abundance, and joined affinity with Ahab.
And did what?
And joined affinity with Ahab.
And joined affinity with Ahab. Now watch this. Jump down. Let me see. Read verse 3.
Verse 3. And Ahab, king of Israel, said unto Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, Wilt thou go with me to Ramoth Gilead?
Mm-hmm.
And he answered him, I am as thou art, and my people as thy people, and we will be with thee in the war.
All right, so as you can see, Jehoshaphat was very, very, what's the word? He loved Ahab. He said, I am as thou art, and your people as my people. We going to be with you in the war. Now, the thing about this, the crazy, mind-blowing thing about this is Jehoshaphat was righteous. Jehoshaphat was a good king over the southern kingdom, over Judah. They had the Levitical priesthood. He had the brothers going in the streets and teaching. He set the southern kingdom in order. He cleansed the idols out of the land. And the southern kingdom was receiving the blessings in Deuteronomy 28 under King Jehoshaphat. Ahab was the polar opposite. He was wicked. He set up huge idols throughout the whole region of Samaria. He let his wife, Jezebel, basically turn the northern kingdom into mini Zidon. You understand? Mini Tyre and Zidon. They had their idols all throughout the land, and they was killing the prophets of the Lord. But for some odd reason, Jehoshaphat took a very, very, he really loved him. He really, really loved him, and he joined in affinity with him, and he married his son, Jehoram, to Ahab's daughter, which was Athaliah or Athaliah, which was Omri's granddaughter. All right. So let's prove that real quick. Hold on. I gotta get something first. All right, go to 2 Kings 11:1 first. 2 Kings chapter 11 and verse 1. So we backtracking a little bit, but I want everybody to understand this little cross within the kingdoms. All right? This is very, very important. And if you watch, like I said, you watch these shows like Game of Thrones, for example. Now, I just started watching it. Bishop been talking about it a whole lot. Every time we get in circles and stuff like that, he bring it up. He be like, hey, you watch Game of Thrones? Ah! You know what I'm saying? When I say no, he was like, this guy. So, okay. I said, I'm gonna start watching. Now we get on it. So I just started watching it. But it's many other shows like that too that basically show different kingdoms and empires, and it's always a lot of betrayal and conspiracy, and this daughter married this for this purpose, and this son married this person. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of affairs that go on between kingdoms. And believe it or not, Israel, we was not only one kingdom, we was two kingdoms at the same damn time. So we had a lot of stuff going on. And like I said, that time of Ahab, Jezebel, Jehoshaphat, and they sons, that little couple of generations was a very, very turbulent time for both kingdoms. All right, so read 2 Kings 11:1.
Book of 2 Kings, chapter 11 and verse 1. And when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal.
All right, so Jehu killed Ahaziah. When you read 2 Kings chapter 9, all right? So Jehu killed him. He died with the southern kingdom Ahaziah or Jehoram. I forget which one. All right? But anyway, 2 Kings chapter 9 is when Ahaziah died. Jehu killed him. Go ahead.
Verse 2.
So when it said that she destroyed all the seed royale, meaning she attempted to kill all of her grandsons, meaning all of Ahaziah's children. Why? Because she wanted to take the throne, and she did. So she thought she killed all of Ahaziah's sons, all of her grandsons. All right, go ahead.
Verse 2. But Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons which were slain. And they hid him, even him and his nurse, in the bedchamber from Athaliah, so that he was not slain.
So the baby boy, they was able to hide him. All right? So, keep reading.
And he was with her, hid in the house of the Lord 6 years. And Athaliah did reign over the land.
Right. So this is when the kingdoms interconnected. Look, put a chart back up. All right. So remember, Athaliah was the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel. Ahab was of the northern kingdom. But he married his daughter to Jehoshaphat's son, which was Jehoram. So, what does that mean? Jehoram's son, Ahaziah, was southern kingdom, right? But when he died, his mother from the northern kingdom took the throne. So you had a northern kingdom woman, the daughter of Jezebel, reigning over the southern kingdom. All right? So like I said, it's a very turbulent time for the Israelites. So now go back where we was at, 2 Kings chapter 11, read verse 4.
Book of 2 Kings, chapter 11 and verse 4.
Come on.
In the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and fet the rulers over hundreds with the captains and the guard, and brought them into the house of the Lord, and made a covenant with them, and took an oath of them in the house of the Lord, and showed them the king's son.
All right. And showed them the king's son. Get this real quick. 2 Chronicles 23. They're going to the covenant. It said he made a covenant with them. Let's see what that's making reference to. All right. Read that. 2 Chronicles 23 and verse 3.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 23 and verse 3.
Uh-huh.
And all the congregation made a covenant with the king in the house of God.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto them, Behold, the king's son shall reign.
Talking about Ahaziah, right? His son, Ahaziah's son, shall reign. Go ahead.
As the Lord hath said of the sons of David.
Right. And what did the Lord say about the sons of David? Go to chapter 6 and verse 16. Come on.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 6 and verse 16. Now therefore, O Lord God of Israel, keep with thy servant David my father that which thou hast promised him, saying, There shall not fail thee a man in my sight to sit upon the throne of Israel. Yet so that thy children take heed to their way, to walk in my law, as thou hast walked before me.
Right. So here you have it, right? For the first and only time in Israelite history, a woman is sitting on the throne of Judah in Jerusalem. The Lord promised David that he would not fail a man of his seed to sit on the throne. So the priest, Jehoiada, was in the spirit. He understood this. So he had knowledge of the son being hid. When he turned 7 years old, he said, enough is enough. He showed the little boy to the other priests or whatever. They took counsel. They made a covenant. Said, listen, this boy is about to be sat on the throne because the Lord promised David that he would not fail a man to sit of his seed upon the throne of Israel. So they made that covenant. All right. Now go to chapter 21 and verse 5. Just to show y'all what happened to where they had to reestablish the seat of David on the throne. Read that.
2 Chronicles chapter 21 and verse 5.
Come on.
Jehoram was 32 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem.
In where?
In Jerusalem.
So we're backtracking, but I just want y'all to be with me and understand, right? Jehoram is Jehoshaphat's son. Jehoshaphat joined an affinity with Ahab. Jehoshaphat's son, right? Jehoram did this. Read verse 6.
Verse 6.
Uh-huh.
And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel.
In the way of the kings of the northern kingdom. Go ahead.
Like as did the house of Ahab.
Uh-huh. Why?
For he had the daughter of Ahab to wife.
Here we go. This is the banger. If you confused, but it said Athaliah was the daughter of Omri. Relax. All right. It says Jehoram took the daughter of Ahab to wife. Who was Jehoram's wife? Pull the chart back up. All right. So in the green, you got Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat's son is Jehoram. He married the daughter of Ahab. Who was the daughter of Ahab that he married? Athaliah. All right. Also known as the daughter, meaning granddaughter of Omri, which was Ahab's father. Okay. Now, as you can see, Jehoram's son in the chart was Ahaziah. Now go to 2 Chronicles 22. Read verse 1.
This is the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 22 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
And the inhabitants of Jerusalem made Ahaziah, his youngest son, king in his stead.
Okay. Read verse 2.
Verse 2. 42 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign. And he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem.
So remember, Ahaziah is reigning in his father Jehoram's stead. We just read in chapter 21, Jehoram took the daughter of Ahab to wife. He made a child with her, which is Ahaziah. So it's finna tell you his mother's name. Go ahead.
His mother's name also was Athaliah.
So his mother's name was Athaliah or Athaliah. Okay. His father was Jehoram. Chapter 21 tells you that Jehoram took the daughter of Ahab to wife, which goes back to 2 Chronicles 18:1. Jehoshaphat joined in affinity with Ahab. Jehoshaphat married his son to Ahab's daughter. All right? The confusion, like I said, it comes in with the remainder of this verse, the daughter of Omri, but it's just saying she is the granddaughter of Omri. All right? Omri was a great man. So I just want you to just letting you know her pedigree. All right? That's all that is. It just confuses so many people. But it's not complicated. It's not that complicated. All right? Athaliah. Now, it perhaps was, the Bible don't get too in-depth. We can only infer based on what we read. But perhaps it was an attempt of infiltration by the Zidonians in Jezebel's wicked evil. She wanted to take control. Basically, an attempt to take control of the whole nation of Israel. Why would I say that? Because, okay, you got Jezebel married to Ahab, and Ahab basically gave her power over the land, right? In the northern kingdom. He somehow causes Jehoshaphat to fall in romantic love with him, right? And gets Jehoshaphat to marry his son to his daughter, which was Jezebel's daughter. So Athaliah, when she gets opportunity, she kills her grandson. When her son get killed, she kills her grandsons, and she sits on the throne of the southern kingdom. So you got basically both kingdoms are now tied to the Zidonians. You understand? So perhaps, like I said, you watch these different movies and shows and stuff like that. They go into the kingdoms and stuff like that. You saw that a lot. That's very, very common. People would try to use their daughter by having their daughter, their son, married certain people in other kingdoms as an attempt to infiltrate these kingdoms. All right? So you could possibly infer that. But as far as we know, we'll just leave it at this is where the southern kingdom and northern kingdom was interconnected through Athaliah or Athaliah, all right? Until Jehoiada said, hell no. The Lord said, he made a covenant with David. We going to set up the seed of David back on the throne in Jerusalem. So they put Athaliah to death. All praise to the Most High. Like I said, go back and watch the last class I did on history in AM. Athaliah, Feminism Undesired. All right? So now, we good? You think we good? Think they got it? Okay. So now, Second Chronicles 23 and verse 16. So now we going into the 7-year-old boy that was set up on the throne. All right, Joash or Joash. Now, he was, yes, the youngest king to ever sit on the throne. All right, in the nation of Israel, out of both kingdoms, he was the youngest to ever sit on the throne. So read that. Yes, sir.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 23 and verse 16. And Jehoiada made a covenant between him and between all the people, and between the king, that they should be the Lord's people. Then all the people went to the house of Baal, and brake it down, and brake his altars and his images in pieces, and slew Matan, the priest of Baal, before the altar.
Right, which is permitted in Deuteronomy 13. They killed him in righteousness because he was a priest to idols. He was causing the people to serve idols. So they righteously murdered him. All right? It's permitted in Deuteronomy the 13th chapter. But I want y'all to see Jehoiada is basically the leader. Even though they set up the boy as king, you see Jehoiada taking a leadership role. And I'm going to expound on that in a second. Keep reading.
Verse 18. Also, Jehoiada appointed the offices of the house of the Lord by the hand of the priests, the Levites, whom David had distributed in the house of the Lord to offer the burnt offerings of the Lord, as it is written in the law of Moses, with rejoicing and with singing, as it was ordained by David. And he set the porters at the gates of the house of the Lord, that none which was unclean in anything should enter in.
So, another thing I want y'all to see, he appointed the officers of the house of the Lord by the hand of the priests, the Levites. So he basically sent stuff back in order because Athaliah, when she was ruling, she was completely out of order. She wasn't even of the southern kingdom lineage. You understand? So a lot of stuff was completely out of course that David instituted, Solomon, the kings in Jerusalem with the Levitical priesthood and stuff. She had everything out of course and out of order. So Jehoiada is setting this thing back in order. All right, go ahead.
Verse 20. And he took the captains of hundreds and the nobles and the governors of the people and all the people of the land and brought down the king from the house of the Lord.
He brought down Joash. Read.
And they came through the high gate into the king's house and set the king upon the throne of the kingdom.
Go ahead.
And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet. After that, they had slain Athaliah with the sword.
So everybody was happy when they put that hoe to death. The Israelites did not enjoy a feminist kingdom. We did not enjoy that thing. You understand? We did not enjoy a woman ruling over us. Get that real quick in Proverbs 29, verse 2. Not to say that Israel did not love women. It's not saying we was misogynist. Ain't that the word, misogynist? Because when you read during the time of Moses, Miriam was revered amongst everybody. You understand? Everybody loved Miriam. All right? When she got smitten and she had to be separate 7 days, everybody waited on her. They're like, we going to wait for her. You know what I'm saying? Everybody loved Miriam. All right? Just like when you read about Deborah, Judith, Israel loved Esther. Israel loved, and when I say Esther, I mean Hadassah. Israel loved the women that loved the Lord. But the women that loved the Lord would never take preeminence over the men of Israel. You understand? So in Athaliah's case, she took preeminence over the whole kingdom. You understand? And that was out of order. That was out of line with God. And Israel was not with that. All right, read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
Read.
But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
Right, the people cannot stand it. So they could not stand when Athaliah was ruling over the land. That was feminism undesired. So it said that they rejoiced after Athaliah was slain with the sword. They said, hallelujah, that bitch dead. All right? So now go back to 2 Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 1.
The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 1. Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem.
All right. So like I said, he was the youngest king to ever sit on the throne in the nation of Israel out of both kingdoms. Go ahead.
His mother's name also was Zebiah of Beersheba.
Read.
And Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest.
All right. So I want y'all to see something because I know what y'all thinking. Damn, we had a 7-year-old sitting on the throne. Notice it says Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest. Watch this. Go to Galatians chapter 4 and verse 1. So Paul is making a point in reference to the old covenant and the new covenant, right? Basically, this is the real breakdown of in 1 Corinthians when he said, when I was a child, I put away childish things or whatever. Basically, the transition from the old covenant to the new covenant, from the law of sacrifice to faith in Christ. But he's using this analogy because it's commonly known and understood in terms of kingdoms, how it works with the young prince or the heir to the throne when he is still a child. All right? Read what you got. 4 and 1.
The book of Galatians, chapter 4 and verse 1.
Come on.
Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child,
As long as he is a child, go ahead.
differeth nothing from a servant,
Uh-huh.
though he be Lord of all,
Even though he's Lord of all, read.
but is under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the father.
So, yes, Joash, his father was dead, right? And Athaliah was ruling. They said, enough of this. Put her to death. So, yes, he sat on the throne at 7. But he was not ruling as a 7-year-old. He was under tutors and governors, primarily Jehoiada the priest. All right, watch this. Go to Numbers chapter 24, verse 21. This is how it always was, period. Even before we had kings, when it was just leaders and judges set up, this is how we always had it systematically set up. Numbers 24 and 21.
The book of Numbers, chapter 24 and verse 21.
Come on.
And he looked.
27 and 21. I don't know why I put 24. 27 and 21.
The book of Numbers, chapter 27 and verse 21.
Come on.
And he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of Urim before the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
As his word shall they go out.
At his word.
At his word shall they go out.
Uh-huh.
And at his word they shall come in, both he and all the children of Israel with him, even all the congregation.
So this is when the Lord put the Spirit on Moses to anoint Joshua to take his role, rise up in his stead after he would be deceased. So it says, he shall stand, meaning Joshua shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of Urim before the Lord. So even though Joshua would be the leader, he would have to stand before the priest who would get counsel from the Lord. You understand? So all of our leaders that were set up, that's how it was supposed to go anyway. All right? Even though they was the king, they reigned and all of that, they would have to stand before the priest, because the priest, the high priest, would get counsel from the Lord. And that's how they would govern the people. All right? So Joash, when he was a little boy and he got set up, Jehoiada was the one really actually, ruling the land. And he was righteous. He was a righteous man. So that's why I said Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest. So go back to 2 Chronicles 24. Let's read verse 4.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 24 and verse 4. And it came to pass after this that Joash was minded to repair the house of the Lord. And he gathered together the priests and the Levites and said to them, Go out unto the cities of Judah and gather all of Israel money, and gather of all Israel money to repair the house of your God from year to year, and see that ye haste the matter.
Mm-hmm.
Howbeit the Levites hastened it not.
All right. So it don't specify or it don't say exactly. Now, I didn't get a chance to research the other different commentaries and books and all of that make could have inserted a particular age at that point, but it don't say in the scriptures at what point this was in Joash's age, right? But as you can see, he said, you know what, we want to repair the house of the Lord, because Athaliah, and we're going to read it, she destroyed it, right? So he gathers the people together, the Levites, and gives them a charge and tells them to hasten the matter, and they don't really, they're like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They don't really, basically give heed to him as they should, right? They don't respect him like that, basically. Read verse 6.
Verse 6.
Uh-huh.
And the king called for Jehoiada the chief, and said unto him, Why hast thou not required of the Levites to bring in out of Judah and out of Jerusalem the collection, according to the commandment of Moses, the servant of the Lord, and of the congregation of Israel, for the tabernacle of witness?
Right. So the people not listening to him, so he called Jehoiada, like, hey, Jehoiada, why you ain't make them do it? All right? You the priest, you could have did it after the manner of Moses in Exodus chapter 30. Let's get there real quick. Exodus chapter 30 and verse 12. So Joash had a scriptural basis for what he was trying to do. What you see is basically a building fund being instituted. What we got? You see the land? Yeah. The land. You what is it? What's the PayPal? UIC fundraising. I don't think that's the one. I think it's another one for the land. But anyway, in the scriptures, you see how forefathers were doing that. They were like, hey, we need to repair the house of the Lord. We can use this standard way back during the time of Moses, what they used as a reference point to enforce a certain amount for people to give so we can raise funds to repair the house of the Lord. Read that real quick. Exodus 30 and 12.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 30 and verse 12.
Come on.
When thou takest the sum of the children of Israel after their number, then shall they give every man a ransom for his soul unto the Lord. When thou numberest them, that there be no plague amongst them, where thou numberest them.
Come on.
This shall they give, every one that passeth among them that are numbered, half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerahs, and an half shekel shall be the offering of the Lord.
All right, so everybody had to give a half a shekel. All right, read on.
Every one that passeth among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering unto the Lord.
Right, so if you was a grown man, if you was older than 20 or 20 and up, you had to give a half a shekel. Today, in today's terms, a half a shekel will equate to $10. So every man had to give $10. So just imagine you got, I don't know how many men was there. Let's say 600,000 men. So let's say you got 600,000 men, and they all give $10. What is that? 6 million. Right. Wait. Yes. 6 million. So you gotta think about it. $10 ain't nothing. So you got all the men, they give a little piece of change. You got $6 million. That show you the power that we got, the power in unity and the moves that we could really make, that we could do if we not thinking with a nigga mentality. Well, I don't know where my money going, and you know what I'm saying? I want to get this new car, and I'm saving up to take my wife on vacation, so whatever. But we are the stuff that we can do. If 600,000 men, if they all gave $10, that'd be 6 million. So that means if 100,000 men gave $10, that would be 1 million, right? So if 10,000 men gave $10, that would be 100,000. So it's basically a little. If all the men just gave a little bit, it would equal up to a whole lot that we could do a whole lot of stuff with. So there's just something to think about. Like we mentioned, the things written aforetime was written for our learning. All right. So I don't know. Some people might have been bugged out. I got that post-traumatic pastor disorder. You came from the church, and whenever you reading about people reading the Bible and they're asking for money, you think evil. Your mind go left, right? But listen, we the real deal. We trying to rebuild, and we got stuff to do. We are not a Christian church. We are the nation of Israel. So as a nation, we gotta gather ourselves together. All right, watch this. Go to Baruch 1. So what we reading now in Chronicles was when we was in our land, right? We had a king. We didn't have the kingdom, but we had a kingdom, right? I'm going to show y'all an example in captivity with no king where we did the same damn thing. All right, just like we in captivity today. Baruch chapter 1, verse 6.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 1 and verse 6. They made also a collection of money.
They did what?
They made also a collection of money, according to every man's power.
Y'all see that? So in captivity in Babylon, you understand, we was making collections of money according to every man's power. Watch this. Go to 1 Corinthians. No, I don't want that yet. Go to 2 Chronicles chapter 24. I'm going to get it in a second. I could get it right now, but I'm going to wait. 2 Chronicles 24, verse 7.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 24 and verse 7.
So like I said, basically, he made a decree for every man to give $10. All right? Read.
For the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, have broken up the house of God, and also all the dedicate things of the house of the Lord did they bestow upon Baalim.
So like I mentioned earlier, right, that's why they had to repair the house of the Lord, because they set up idols in there. Now, I know we in the Feast of Dedication, right? And remember the history. The Greeks came in our sanctuary. They took out the gold vessels and all of that. They robbed the sanctuary, and then they destroyed our altar and set up the abomination of desolation, meaning sacrifice swine's flesh on the altar and set up the idols. And in 2 Maccabees 6, did it say Jupiter or Olympus or something like that? One of them damn Greek gods. So y'all got to put it into perspective, right? Just like in Arkansas, we got this, and it's based a lot of IUIC schools, right? When we first got this school, like the wall behind that you see right now, this background, was the crazy thing is their colors was purple and gold, or purple and yellow. On this same wall where you see Israel United in Christ was a damn cross. You understand? In different Christian, whatever. So we had to come in and tear stuff down and paint over stuff and remodel it. You understand? So when it say the sons of Athaliah broken up the house of God, mind you, when you read about when Solomon built the temple and the sanctuary and all of that, it wasn't damn plastic mannequins and, you know what I'm saying? It was molten stuff that you had to break down. It represented the Most High God and his angels and all of that. In order for them to set up their idols, they had to break down what represented our God and what we believed. So they had to break down and remodel the temple and the sanctuary after the manner of the idols that they was worshiping. So we had to raise money to basically renovate the house of God. We had to tear down the idols that they set up. We had to renew that thing. We had to rebuild that thing. It wasn't like just a little paint job or something. We had to tear stuff down, remodel, rebuild, resculpt stuff. And you know what I'm saying? It was a real reconstruction. All right, just to put it into perspective. So read on.
Verse 8, and at the king's commandment they made a chest and set it without, at the gate of the house of the Lord.
Right, so they made a chest for everybody to drop their shekels in at the gate. Go ahead.
And they made a proclamation through Judah and Jerusalem to bring in to the Lord the collection that Moses, the servant of God, laid upon Israel in the wilderness.
Right, the half a shekel, would, like I said, would today equate to around $10. Read.
And all the princes and all the people rejoiced and brought in and cast into the chest until they had made an end.
Read.
Now it came to pass that at what time the chest was brought into the king's office by the hand of the Levites, and when they saw that there was much money, the king's scribe and the high priest's officer came and emptied the chest and took it and carried it to his place again. Thus they did day by day, and gathered money in abundance.
So it was filling up every day to where they had to go and make deposits, make drop out. Like, damn, it's full. So they drop it out, bring it back, drop it out, bring it back. Day by day, they was gathering in abundance. Read.
And verse 12, and the king and Jehoiada gave it to such as did the work of the service of the house of the Lord, and hired masons and carpenters to repair the house of the Lord, and also such as wrought iron and brass to mend the house of the Lord.
Y'all see that? So when they say the sons of Athaliah broken up the house of God, they was tearing down and destroying stuff that was made out of brass and iron. You understand? So we had to replenish that thing. And in order to do that, you have to hire people with the know-how. And these people, they do this for a living, so they charge. You understand? So the same way, like I said, when we get schools and stuff, we got to renovate and do plumbing and electrician work, and you understand? And that's why we got the stewardship program. So we want to be able to train brothers and sisters to be able to do these things, you know what I'm saying, to lighten the burden. We don't want to have to go and hire heathens and stuff like that to do this stuff. We want to be able to keep everything within the nation. All right. But the point is that it was a lot of work to be done, and they had to pay not only for the materials but for the labor. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 13, so the workmen wrought, and the whole work was perfected by them.
Read.
And they set the house of God in his state and strengthened it. And when they had finished it, they brought in the rest of the money before the king and Jehoiada.
So after they bought the materials, they paid for the labor, the masons and carpenters or whatever, it was money left over. Go ahead.
Whereof were made vessels for the house of the Lord.
So they used that money to make vessels for the house of the Lord, like the different dishes and materials. You understand that the priests had to use for the sacrifices and things of that nature. Go ahead.
Even vessels to minister and to offer withal.
Well, there you go. To minister and to offer withal, meaning to use for the purpose of the priesthood. Read.
And spoons and vessels of gold and silver.
Come on.
And they offered burnt offerings in the house of the Lord continually, all the days of Jehoiada.
All the days of Jehoiada. So I want y'all to key in on that. Remember that. Because remember, Joash was set up when he was 7. So he was under the tutelage of Jehoiada. Jehoiada was the one really leading. And as long as he was alive, he was that mentor, that guide for Joash. So all the days of Joash, the southern kingdom was all right. I mean, not all the days of Jehoiada, the southern kingdom was all right. All right? Now, real quick, get 1 Corinthians 16. This is an example of, in the New Testament, when we didn't have our own kingdom or whatever, in the name of Jesus, there was collections of money made. I read that real quick. 16:1.
The Book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 16 and verse 1.
Come on.
Now concerning the collection for the saints, as I have given order to the church of Galatia, even so do ye.
Read.
Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store, as God hath prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come.
Right. So the difference was that it wasn't like a charge like you saw in Exodus 30 and what Joash modeled after that during his reign, but like what we read in Baruch is what you see here. Just according to every man's power. If you got a lot, give a lot. If you only got a little, give a little. But everybody needs to give. You understand? They made a collection of money for the saints in Judea. All right? And that history, Lord's willing, I can go over that one day. Right? That's going into the third. Was it the third or the second? I want to say the third. Or it may have been the second. I want to say it was the third missionary journey of Paul. It's the one where he ended up in Jerusalem. In Acts 24, when he said, I came to bring alms to my nation, that's the alms that he's talking about. He made on that last journey when he started in Galatia. He collected money from the churches in Galatia, came up through Macedonia, came down through Greece where Corinth was at. He collected money from all them churches to bring down to Jerusalem. All right? And remember when he met the elders of Ephesus on the coast, I forgot the name of the city, it started with an M. But he met the elders of Ephesus on the coast. They was begging him that like, no, please don't leave us or whatever. He was like, I gotta make it to Jerusalem to keep the Feast of Pentecost, but to also bring that money. You understand? That was one of the tasks that was a part of Paul's office for the body. He would make collections for the saints. You read about that in Acts 11 too. Before he became like an apostle, like a part of leadership, when you could say he was like soldier status or whatever, he was doing the same thing. He was, making collections and bringing it to the saints that was in need to make sure everybody was good. All right? So that's just some old history, but it's just an example of we always did that. Old Testament, under Moses, under the kings, in captivity in Babylon, all the way to the churches in Christ, after Christ, under the apostles. We will make collections of money for the nation purposes. All right. So don't be a nigga and not give nothing. You ain't right. You the devil. Fix it. Repent. All right. So where we at? Yeah. Go back.
This is the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 24 and verse 15.
So we are not going to, it's 6:30. What the hell is this? So we're not going to make it to the end of Jehu. All right, so we're going to finish Joash, and then, Lord's willing, next time we pick up with, we finish Jehu and then hit Jehoash. We're going to basically have to emphasize Northern Kingdom next time, because today was just all Southern Kingdom. All right? But where we at? Verse 15, read that real quick.
2 Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 15.
Uh-huh.
But Jehoiada waxed old and was full of days when he died. 130 years old was he when he died.
Read.
And they buried him in the city of David among the kings, because he had done good in Israel, both towards God and towards his house.
Y'all see that? So Jehoiada, that's how you know he was moving like a king. He was rolling. You understand? Because they buried him with the kings. So I'm telling you, it's a lot of mighty men in these scriptures. I know we be talking about the prophets and the 12 apostles and all of that, but it's an honor. You could be Jehoiada in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? That's an honor right there. It's some brothers amongst it, like, damn, this might be Jehoiada. You know what I'm saying? So, brothers we wanted, like the brothers, the loyal, faithful brothers that was with Paul, like Tychicus. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. There's a lot of good names in this Bible. You don't got to be a main character. The super famous men or whatever. It's a lot of mighty men in these scriptures. All right? But anyway, read on.
Verse 17.
Come on.
Now after the death of Jehoiada came the princes of Judah and made obeisance to
That man, the point, this is making my wheels turn a little bit. He was a priest, and they buried him among the kings. You know what I'm saying? That's heavy. That's heavy. Shout out to Jehoiada. All right? Go ahead.
Now after the death of Jehoiada came the princes of Judah and made obeisance to the king. Then the king hearkened unto them.
So it's a lot in there. So after Jehoiada died, which was Joash's mentor, his guide, it said came the princes of Judah, basically his peers, and they made obeisance to him, and the king hearkened unto him. So he went from being guided by the older, wiser Jehoiada to now counseling among his peers. Go ahead.
Verse 18. And they left the house of the Lord God of their fathers.
You see that? So he started counseling with his peers, and now they not serving the Most High no more. The hell is this? The same man that made this decree to repair the house of the Lord, Jehoiada died, and you leave the Lord. The hell is this? Go ahead.
And served groves and idols. Groves and idols.
Come on.
And wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for this their trespass.
Watch this. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 16. Read that real quick. 16.
The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 16.
Woe
to thee, O land, when thy king is a child.
Damn. Read.
And thy princes eat in the morning.
So what is Solomon saying here? When you got a young king, a young leader, say woe to the land. Now, obviously, it's not talking about a young leader that's under the tutelage and governors of elders and wise men, because remember, Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest. You understand? They're just like us, and it's true, like me. If I'm a young man doing my own damn thing, woe to how you are, you understand? But as long as I'm moving under the tutelage and governance of the bishops, the deacons, the senior captains, we gonna be all right. You understand? But when a leader is a child and he's counseling among his peers and it's no elder, it's no wise guidance, you understand? No real tutelage going on. God says, woe to the land. Woe to the land. So that's what you see. When the wisdom go away, Jehoiada die, brothers went the hell off. All right, so go back. 2 Chronicles 24, verse 19.
2 Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 19.
Go ahead.
Yet he sent prophets to them to bring them again unto the Lord, and they testified against them.
Right, so the Lord was merciful, right? He didn't want to just, they went off. So he sent prophets to testify against them. Like, what the hell is y'all doing? Go ahead.
But they would not give ear.
Watch this.
And the Spirit of the God came upon Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, the priest, which stood above the people, and said unto them, Thus saith God, Why transgress ye the commandments of the Lord, that ye cannot prosper? Because ye have forsaken the Lord, he hath also forsaken you.
All right, now watch this. Get Sirach chapter 30 and verse 4. So it say the Spirit of God came upon Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada the priest. So Jehoiada had a son that he left behind. You understand? And he rose up in his stead with that same spirit. The Spirit of God was upon him, and he is attempting to rebuke the king and the princes for the evils that they doing. Read that real quick.
The book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 4.
Read.
Though his father died,
Even though Jehoiada died.
yet he is as though he were not dead. For he hath left one behind him that is like himself.
Right. So Zechariah was just like Jehoiada. He had the Spirit of God on him like his father Jehoiada. Now go back and read verse 21. Here's the thing, though.
2 Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 21.
Come on.
And they conspired against him.
But he didn't get the same respect as his father. They didn't hearken. They didn't do obeisance to him as they did to his father, but they conspired against him. Go ahead.
And stoned him with stones at the commandment of the king in the court of the house of the Lord.
In the court of the house of the Lord. Get that in Matthew chapter 23. Matthew chapter 23, verse 34. Now, we don't got time to pull up the look commentaries or whatever, but I'm gonna comment on it once we read it. Read it real quick.
Matthew chapter 23 and verse 34.
Come on.
Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them ye shall kill and crucify, and some of them shall ye scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city.
Right, so this is Christ speaking to the Pharisees. He's saying, I send unto you prophets, scribes, teachers, so on and so forth, meaning the disciples, right? And basically, that's nicknames for the disciples and apostles. Prophets, scribes, all of that. That's all. We're all of that. We entail all of that. Go ahead.
Verse 35, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias.
Unto the blood of who?
Zacharias.
Go ahead.
Son of Barachias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar.
Right, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. So we just read that Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, was stoned in the court of the house of the Lord. It's a lot of, just like with the daughter of Omri stuff, it's a lot of disputations or whatever, confusion regarding who Christ was making reference to, because it said Zechariah, the son of Barachias. So the people don't know if it's talking about the Zechariah during the Persian captivity or John the Baptist's daddy. It's, people just be all over the place. But one commentary that I liked, because it's Christ said, whom you slew between the porch and the altar, right? Or the temple and the altar, which would be in the court of the house of the Lord. Basically, in line up with the Zechariah that we read in Chronicles. One of the commentaries said that Jehoiada and Barachias, basically they got the same meaning. One is, I know Barachias means blessed of the Lord, and Jehoiada means something similar. And you know, people, it was common amongst Israel for people to have multiple names. Like some brothers got now. Brothers be having multiple names. Like it was a brother named Jehoiada. His name was also Ron. It's a lot of brothers with multiple names and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So basically, the point is that it's a high possibility that the Zechariah that Christ was talking about is talking about the son of Jehoiada. It's just using an alternate name for Jehoiada. All right? But that verse is also heavy because what he's saying is that generation of Pharisees is the same generation of niggas that killed Zechariah. And that same generation gonna be in Babylon with us, killing us. You know what I'm saying? God likened his judgment to a ring. So just be mindful, be ready. Let's go back. 2 Chronicles 24, 22.
Second Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 22.
Uh-huh.
Thus Joash the king remembered not the kindness which Jehoiada his father had done to him.
So you just gotta imagine, bruh. And it just in that alone, that could be a movie, that could be a Netflix series, HBO Max. Joash, you gotta think, that's a lot of, he reigned for 40 years, right? So we don't know at what point Jehoiada died, but it was, you could assume for decades of his reign, he was under the tutelage and guidance of Jehoiada. And you know Jehoiada basically brought him up as a son. You know what I'm saying? He set him up when he was 7. So all them years, all that Jehoiada did for him and looked out for him, Jehoiada died, and you have his son put to death. That's bruh. Nigga, that's why we gotta be judged. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you really study the Bible and you really read, you know what I'm saying, the stuff that we was doing, Deuteronomy 28 starts to make a lot more sense. Like, yeah, I understand why you said we smitten before our enemies. You know, bro, we was wicked as hell, bro. We deserved it. We deserve it. For real, we really, really do. You understand? We really do. Even like with the Feast of Dedication, the history in First Maccabees 1, a lot of people don't know that it's preceded by Second Maccabees 3 through 5. So in Second Maccabees chapter 3, you got Onias. That was 170-something BC. That was before Antiochus or Antiochus Epiphanes. When that high priest was ruling, it say he hated wickedness and the laws was kept very well. We was doing good. But you had niggas and traitors rise up trying to get the preeminence and the treachery and all of that. So when you read First Maccabees 1, when it say he came into the sanctuary and robbed the sanctuary, Second Maccabees 5 tell you it was a nigga, it was an Israelite, a nigga that was taking him through the sanctuary, pointing the shit out like, yeah, take that, take that. You understand? So it's context to why God allowed the Greeks to come in and do us like that. All those horrific things. It was treachery. They damn killed Onias. You know what I'm saying? A righteous leader. And it was all manner of treachery and wickedness going on. That's why the Lord allowed the Greeks to come in and do us like that. You understand? And the reason why I brought that up, because, like I said, you read the Bible and you just consider the niggertree. It warrants God's punishment. All right? But anyway, read that verse again, 22. I gotta wrap it up. What the hell is this? What am I doing, Kakeem? It's come on.
Second Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 22. Thus Joash the king remembered not the kindness which Jehoiada his father had done to him, but slew his son. And when he died, he said, the Lord look upon it and require it.
Read.
And it came to pass at the end of the year that the host of Syria came up against him, and they came to Judah and Jerusalem, and destroyed all the princes of the people from among the people, and sent all the spoil of them unto the king of Damascus. For the army of the Syrians came with a small company of men, and the Lord delivered a very great host into their hand, because they had forsaken the Lord God of their fathers. So they executed judgment against Joash.
So that goes with Leviticus 26. You won't have power to stand against your enemies. Psalm 17. The Lord will use the nations as his sword to punish us. Now get 2 Kings 12 real quick, just to expound on that. It said they sent all the spoil of them to the king of Damascus. Basically, we took a major L. All right? 2 Kings 12, 17 to 18.
2 Kings chapter 12 and verse 17.
Come on.
Then Hazael, king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. And Hazael set his face to go up to Jerusalem.
Right, so Hazael wanted to take Jerusalem while he was on his little streak. Go ahead.
And Joash, king of Judah, took all the hollow things that Jehoshaphat and Jehoram and Ahaziah, his fathers, king of Judah, had dedicated.
Right, so all the hollow things, meaning the silver and gold things of the temple, like we read earlier, when they had made the collection of money, the leftover money, they used that money to make those things, manufacture those things. So Jehoash had to take all the hollow things from the time of Jehoshaphat, Jehoram, and Ahaziah, all them generations. Go ahead.
And his own hollow things.
And his own hollow things, read.
And all the gold that was found in the treasures of the house of the Lord. And in the king's house. And sent it to Hazael, king of Syria. And he went away from Jerusalem.
So that expounds on what we just read in Chronicles, right? What did it say? The spoil, sent out a spoil of them to the king of Damascus. That's all the spoil. You understand that gold, the silver from generations, all them hollow things, he had to break off the king of Damascus, the king of Syria. And that was judgment from God. All right, so go back to Chronicles. Let's read 25, 26, and then we through.
2 Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 25.
Go ahead.
And when they were departed from him, for they left him in great diseases.
Right, so when the Syrians departed from him, he was sick and broke. Go ahead.
His own servants conspired against him.
His own servants did what?
Conspired against him.
So when you read verse 21, they conspired against Jehoiada's son, right? Zechariah. And then in verse 22, when Zechariah died, he said, the Lord look upon it and require it. When you read, I did a class called, what was it called? I think it was Beware of Treachery. Yes. Every treacherous act that was committed in the Bible was recompensed. And it was usually like the same way you dished it out, it would come back around to you. You understand? And that's an example. He conspired against Jehoiada's son Zechariah and had him put to death. And as soon as he took that major L from the Syrians, his people turned their back on him and conspired against him. Read. For the blood?
For the blood of the sons of Jehoiada the priest.
So that's the proof that, like Zechariah said when he died, the Lord look upon it and require it. That's why that happened. It was for the blood of the son of Jehoiada the priest. Go ahead.
And slew him on his bed.
And
he died.
So they killed Joash on his bed because he was sick. So they killed him while he was on his bed. Like I said, that's stuff that you see in the movies and the shows. Go ahead.
And they buried him in the city of David. But they buried him not in the sepulchres of the king.
So they buried Jehoiada, the priest, among the king. But the actual king, this nigga, they said, we not doing that for him. All right? So those one of y'all got edified, we got to shut it off. Daily Bread, they need the stream key and all of that. So those one of y'all got edified, I'm going to have to change the title because we didn't cover Jehoiada. We didn't even finish Jehu. You understand? But we started extra. We started super late, though. So those one of y'all got something from that. Make sure y'all continue to, whenever y'all get a chance. I mean, it's recorded, so you can always go back and watch it at any time of the day. Everybody can't get up at 4 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? But whenever you get a chance, make sure you continue to keep up with history in the AM period. Because the captains, everybody going over different series and stuff like that. And the history, but it's our history. Like I always say, 12 years, we was forced to read the white man history and pass tests and do essays and projects and all of that. What the hell we look like? Now we know who we are, and we don't give a damn about our history. Everybody should be tuned in to history in the AM. You might not be able to catch it live, but you need to be making sure that you not very knowledgeable about your history. These your forefathers. This is the book of our fathers. Shout out to Bishop Yawasab. All right? With that, shalom, most high, Christ bless.
Put my trust in a pig-eating pastor. Never kept the Sabbath, but he looking for the rapture. Studied for myself, had to read through the chapters. I left the Christian church and caught ghosts like. I'm seeking the kingdom, what is you after? Praying on the daily, make the blessings come faster. Reading red letters, had to learn from the master. I eat cornbread, never cared for a cracker. I'm in the truth, ain't nothing like these rappers. I'm trying to figure out what's your go-to a raptor. Get torn up in pieces while I'm choked up in laughter. Step up in the booth and every mic start to shatter. That Bible in my pocket treated like a dagger. While most chatter come from those who don't even matter. We don't want to hear that small talk from a big ass dog with no